after Grasim announced a rights issue on the 4th of January. It opened on Wednesday, it closes on the 29th, and the entitlement settled at about 351 rupees. What should investors do? Somit is here to explain that. Somit?
Well, now given the fact that the Grasim rights entitlement has started trading on the exchanges, here's a list of things that investors can do with it. Now, an old investor has already got the Grasim rights entitlement. If they sell the RE, then the RE value, which was yesterday at closing at close to 351 rupees, would have translated into a dividend per share of around 11.7 rupees. Now, this dividend per share of 11.7 would be the highest amount of dividend if we consider that Grasim has paid at least since 2016. So, selling the RE would have translated into a dividend per share of around 11.7 rupees. Now, if that investor keeps the RE, then there are too much of hassle that is involved. They need to keep a track of when they need to make the payments for this rights issue, and they also need to make the payment on time, because if they forget to make the payment, then their rights would be forfeited to them. Even Citibank, who is a big shareholder in Grasim, sold 1/3 of the rights entitlement yesterday in trade. So even they are of the view that keeping the rights entitlement or rights issue would not give them much of a leverage going forward. Now, if someone would have bought the rights Grasim shares for arbitrage purpose, then the actual gain for them would have been just 1.1%, because the buying price would have been around 2058. The current prices of Grasim are around 2068 rupees. Then considering the rights entitlement value of 351 rupees, the gains for any investor would have been just 1.1%. Now, what should new investors do? If any investor wants to invest in Grasim for long term, then buying RE or the rights entitlement would make much more sense, because if you see the current holding cost of Grasim rights issue would be the 351 rupees for the rights entitlement price, plus the 453 rupees, which is the application price one needs to pay off, and the total cost comes to around 804 rupees. Now, the remaining 1359 will need to be paid in 3 calls, which could be done anytime before March 2026. So, assuming that these 3 calls are done equally over the period of next 3 years, then it would make much more sense for anyone to buy the rights issue of Grasim rather than buying the rights price, because the premium at which the rights issue price would be at just 4.6% compared to the SBI FD rate of 180 to 210 days of around 5.75%, while the HDFC sweep-in fixed deposit rate is also at 5.75%. So, given the fact that the fixed deposit rates are much higher compared to the premium that you would be paying for owning the rights issue, it would make much more sense to rather own the rights issue shares of Grasim rather than buying the Grasim actual shares from the current market.